welcome to the deep dive. If you've ever felt just overwhelmed by all the noise, the external pressure, or just the sheer number of opinions out there, then this deep dive is definitely for you.
It really is. Today we're unpacking a single philosophy that honestly offers a pretty profound shift in how you navigate the world.
And this isn't just, typical self-help. It's more of a strategic shortcut to finding some personal peace. We're going to dissect this life lesson that's wrapped up in two core principles.
That's right, two actionable principles. The absolute necessity of focusing on yourself and the incredible power of strategic silence.
The promise here really is clarity and confidence. We've synthesized this whole idea, analyzing specific English phrases that aren't just idioms. They're more like, rules for personal progress.
Our mission is to show you why that internal focus, that quiet work, can be the most powerful, stress-reducing tool you can start using, right now.
It's about building a solid inner life, isn't it?
Exactly, an unshakable one. We'll look at the language that defines this behavior and explore the psychology behind why sometimes not reacting is the strongest reaction you can have.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's unpack the first half of that equation. Focus on yourself. When people hear that phrase, I think the mind immediately jumps to selfishness.
It does, and that's a common misconception. But the material we analyzed, it reframes it completely. The distinction is so important.
How so?
Focusing on yourself is really about disciplined energy allocation. It means you are consciously deciding where your most valuable resources go.
You mean your time, your attention?
Your time, your attention, your mental energy. You're dedicating all of that to your goals, your emotional well-being, and your growth. It's not about ignoring other people. It's about recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup.
That reframing is everything. It's like putting up a boundary marker. And once you accept that your number one job is your own well-being, the stress immediately starts to fall away.
Because you stop trying to manage everyone else's expectations or their outcomes.
Right. And this idea, this commitment to focusing inward is actually codified in a few common English expressions that act as these little guardrails for your mind.
Like what?
Well, think about how direct mind your own business is.
It sounds a little abrupt, maybe a bit rude.
It can, but functionally, it's the ultimate statement of setting a boundary. It's a reminder to stay out of other people's dramas, their personal affairs, which are, frankly, the biggest time sinks imaginable.
And its close cousins, stay in your lane. I love that one. It's so visual.
It is.
We're so tempted to look over, to compare our car, our speed to the person next to us. But when you just focus on your own lane, that whole comparison thing it fades.
It deals with the comparison trap directly. Comparison is a thief of joy, and it's a thief of focus. When you're genuinely focused on your own path, whatever that is, a new skill, your career, you realize looking at someone else's progress is just a distraction.
A distraction from where your own effort needs to go, which then moves you into the active part of this. Work on yourself. Yes. This isn't passive. It's not just thinking about it. It's the daily commitment. Improving skills, dropping bad habits, building a stronger mindset. This is where that quiet progress actually happens.
And that leads to maybe the most powerful phrase for just immediate relief.
Oh, absolutely. Control what you can control. If you can truly, deeply internalize this one idea, you get so much mental bandwidth back instantly.
It forces you to draw a line in the sand, doesn't it?
It does. A line between your sphere of influence and, the giant ocean of external events and people you have zero power over.
It's that idea of an internal versus external locus of control. If you're worrying about a decision your boss made or something you saw in the news, you're giving your energy to an external locus.
Precisely. And that is just wasted energy. Shifting to an internal locus, which is what you can control, forces you to do, means focusing entirely on your response, your preparation, your actions.
If you can't change it, stop giving it your mental real estate.
That is strategic personal investment right there.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting for me. If we're spending all this time focusing on ourselves, working in our own lane, how does that progress get, seen by the world? Which brings us to the second half of this philosophy.
The strategic value of silence.
Right. We have to challenge this assumption that silence is just empty.
This philosophy completely flips that idea. It argues that silence is full of answers. We're not talking about silence as a void, but as an active, deliberate choice.
I have to push back a little on that.
Yeah.
In a world that values quick responses, constant engagement, isn't silence sometimes just seen as being passive? Or maybe a lack of confidence?
That's a fair point, but I think that's only if the silence is unintentional. Strategic silence is a show of strength. of self-control. It suggests you're processing, observing, and deciding where to put your energy.
So not reacting is a decision in itself.
Yeah, very powerful one. Sometimes just walking away from a petty argument shows way more maturity and strength than, winning some pointless debate.
So the silence itself is a form of communication. That must be why we see that core theme, that silence speaks louder than words. Your refusal to get pulled into drama, your calm, that tells people more about you than any argument could.
And it protects you. It guards your energy, which is finite. This is captured perfectly in the principle, not every action deserves a reaction.
Especially today, in the digital world, we're constantly prompted to react, instantly.
We are. And learning to just pause to filter those prompts, that's energy management at the highest level.
And the other phrases we hear, they all point to this idea of mental strength. Silence is golden, obviously, but I really like a quiet mind is a strong mind. It suggests that stillness is actually a requirement for strength.
And if we tie this all back to the main idea of focusing on yourself, the ultimate goal becomes very clear.
Let your actions speak for you.
Exactly. If your focus is truly producing results in your career, your health, your studies, you don't need to give a running commentary on it. The results they announce themselves.
That brings us right into the modern world, because the level of noise right now is just deafening. It's an age of maximum output. Everyone has an opinion, everyone wants to comment, and judgment is instant. It makes it harder than ever to keep that quiet mind.
It makes the choice of silence almost revolutionary. We have to ask, why is there so much noise? The observation from our source suggests that often the people who talk the most, or who have the loudest opinions,
they're the ones with the least progress happening in their own lives.
That's the observation. It's this constant need for validation, or maybe the need to criticize others to deflect from their own stagnation.
And this is captured so perfectly in that old saying.
Empty vessels make the most noise. It's such a sharp, critical analysis of human behavior.
It hits on two truths, doesn't it? First, the people with the least knowledge often speak the loudest to cover up for that. They feel they have to fill the silence with noise.
And second, and this is more relevant for you, the listener, if someone is genuinely busy improving their own life, working on skills, building things, achieving goals, they just don't have the time or the emotional energy to constantly talk about or critique what other people are doing.
Their time is spent filling their own vessel, not rattling it around to make noise.
Precisely. So the choice becomes simple. Do you want to engage with all that external noise, or do you choose the path of the focused worker? Choosing silence is how you opt out of the drama. You refuse to be distracted.
And you refuse to become an empty vessel yourself.
That is the philosophy of quiet progress. And to make this really concrete, let's use the example from the source, the journey of learning a new skill. It's a great metaphor for any big goal.
Okay.
There are 4 specific benefits of applying this focus and silence approach to learning.
Let's walk through them. First, it says silence aids listening. This just makes perfect sense. If you're constantly talking or even just thinking about your next reply, you physically can't absorb the details of what's being said.
For language learning, for example, it means you miss pronunciation details, the natural rhythm, the intonation. If your mind is quiet, it becomes a sponge, not a speaker.
Second point, silence helps you stop comparison. This is huge. When you're totally focused on your own daily practice, you just naturally accept that everyone learns at their own speed. That destructive habit of measuring your progress against someone else's, it just goes away.
And that inward focus leads directly to consistency. This is the secret to all growth, really. When you take away the fear of what other people think, if they'll laugh at you, you can just practice every day without that embarrassment getting in the way.
Consistency thrives in private. I like that.
It really does. And finally, that quiet listening helps your brain absorb new information. By staying quiet, you give your mind the space it needs to process new vocabulary, new patterns, without your own internal dialogue running interference.
The motivational story that came with this philosophy really brings it all home.
It's the perfect encapsulation of the principle. It's about a young woman who had this huge goal. She wanted to learn English to get an international career. So she decided to go all in on this focus and silence approach. She just practiced quietly every single day.
And the immediate result of that commitment was criticism. Her friends noticed her quiet efforts and started laughing at her. They said she was wasting her time, that she'd never be fluent. The external noise was trying to pull her off course.
But she had made her choice. She didn't engage, she didn't argue, she didn't try to explain her big plans. She just stayed silent and focused on the path she'd set for herself. And it takes incredible discipline to absorb that kind of criticism and just keep going.
And that is quiet progress in action. The ending of the story, a year later, is so satisfying.
Isn't it? Because of her dedication, her skill improved so much that she landed a great international job. Her quiet actions spoke for themselves loudly.
And the critics.
The same people who had laughed at her, who had questioned her, were now the ones coming to her, asking her for tips, for help with their own stalled careers. Her results silenced them more effectively than any argument ever could have.
That story just proves it. Real progress has its own volume control, and when it's turned up, it drowns out everything else.
It absolutely does.
So, okay, knowing this philosophy works, how do we translate it into practical, everyday actions? It sounds difficult, especially when we're all sort of wired to react instantly.
It is challenging. It requires you to interrupt that automatic response loop. So the first practical step is the foundation for everything else. Don't respond immediately.
Just pause.
Just pause. Train yourself to take a moment before you react emotionally to a comment, a difficult email, anything. That little bit of hesitation lets logic catch up.
And then the next step is about preserving your energy.
Right. Avoid unnecessary arguments. This is a tough one because our egos often tell us an argument is necessary. But you have to learn to recognize which conversations are just emotional drains versus which ones actually help you move forward. If it doesn't serve your focus, walk away.
Step 3 is about your physical space. Reduce noise around you. If your goal needs deep thought, you need to be intentional about creating quiet time to read, to practice, to just listen. You're literally creating the space for that quiet, strong mind.
And step 4 brings it back to your internal compass. Write your goals down. This just reinforces that your focus is governed by your metrics, not what anyone else expects. If a distraction doesn't align with those written goals, it's so much easier to just dismiss it.
And finally, the overarching daily practice.
Practice quiet progress. You have to trust the process of silent improvement. Do the work when no one's watching, knowing that the results you build in private will eventually become the loud, undeniable proof that everyone sees.
Let your actions be the only spokesperson you need.
Exactly.
This deep dive really has shown that real power isn't about being the loudest. It's about control. You don't need to announce your dreams or defend your choices or react to every single opinion.
Silence isn't a lack of response. It's a clear sign of intelligence, of strength, and self-respect. It means you're too busy working on yourself. You're choosing peace over drama.
So choose your focus, guard your energy, and let your actions do all the talking. Focus on yourself, and then just watch how quickly your results make the loudest statement, even if your journey began in total silence. That's the real philosophy of quiet power, and it's something you can start today.
Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into something that sounds simple, but is honestly a game changer. We're talking about the incredible power of focusing on yourself and embracing a little bit of silence, especially when you're trying to grow and learn.
Think about it. You're trying to build something new. Maybe learn a skill, or just improve your life in some way. But the second you start, you're just hit with this wall of noise, right? Opinions from friends, family, and don't even get me started on the endless scroll of social media. It's so distracting, and if we're being honest, it can be super discouraging.
But what if I told you the solution is way simpler than you think? What if you could actually lower your stress, boost your confidence, and see real, tangible progress just by grabbing onto 2 key ideas? Let's break them down.
Okay, so first, we have to really get a handle on the challenge we're all facing. The world we live in is just loud. It's a constant flood of information, and it makes it genuinely hard to even hear your own thoughts, let alone focus on your own journey.
You know, there's this old English saying that just hits the nail on the head. Empty vessels make the most noise. It's this perfect little picture of the idea that a lot of the time, the people who talk the most, the ones who criticize the loudest, are actually the ones making the least progress in their own lives.
And man, doesn't that just perfectly describe our culture right now, especially online. There's this feeling that you have to have an opinion on everything. You have to comment. You have to judge. It creates this huge, powerful wave of distraction that can so easily pull you off your own course.
So, how do we fight back against all that? Well, we do it with the power of quiet focus. This is where we take back control of our own attention and our own energy. Okay, so what does focusing on yourself really mean? It's not about being selfish or ignoring the world. Not at all. It's about being deliberate with your most valuable resources, your time and your energy, and pointing them directly at your life and your goals. You'll hear a couple of great English expressions for this. The first is minding your own business, which is basically about not getting tangled up in other people's drama. And the second one, staying in your lane, is such a powerful reminder to stop comparing your race to someone else's. Your path is your own. Now, the second piece of this puzzle is silence. And we really need to change how we think about silence. It is not weakness. It's not emptiness. It's a strategic move. It's the space where you can think clearly, protect your energy, and actually show real strength. You know, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work in the real world? Like, say, when you're trying to learn a new skill. Let's look at how these ideas can make you a way better learner.
So there are 4 huge benefits here. First, being quiet helps you actually listen. Instead of just waiting for your turn to talk, you're absorbing sounds, which is everything for something like pronunciation. Second, it gets you out of the comparison trap. You stop worrying about your day 10 when someone else is on their day 100. Third, it builds consistency. When you're not trying to perform for an audience, it's just so much easier to show up every day, for you. And finally, a quiet mind helps your brain soak things up. With less mental clutter, new words and ideas have a much better shot at sticking around.
You know, I want to share a quick story with you because it shows the power of this idea so perfectly. So picture this. There's a young woman, and she decides she wants to learn English. She doesn't post about it. She doesn't announce it to all her friends. She just starts. Quietly, consistently, every single day.
But of course her friends noticed, and they laughed at her. They filled her head with all this doubt, telling her, "You're wasting your time. You're never going to make it."
And what was her response? Nothing. She said absolutely nothing. She didn't argue, she didn't defend herself, she just stayed silent, kept her head down, and kept putting in the work. And then, 1 year later, all that quiet, consistent work totally paid off. She landed an amazing job at an international company, a job she got because her English was so good. And here's the kicker, the absolute best part. The very same people who laughed at her, they were now coming to her, asking for her help and her advice. Her success did all the talking for her.
I mean, that story just shows you what's possible, right? So let's take that inspiration and turn it into a real, practical plan that you can literally start using today.
All right, here are 5 simple steps. 1, when someone criticizes you, just pause. Don't respond right away. 2, learn to walk away from arguments that just drain your battery. 3, actively try to reduce the noise around you. 4, write your goals down, but for you, not for an audience. And 5, embrace this idea of quiet progress, getting better silently, and just letting your results speak for themselves. When it all comes down to it, it boils down to this one single, powerful idea. You don't have to announce your dreams. You don't have to defend your journey. Just focus on the work and let your progress be the only announcement you ever need to make. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to really think about. If you were to genuinely cut out all the noise, take back your energy, and apply this kind of quiet focus to your biggest goal, what incredible thing could you build?